AI is here. It can be used for evangelism if used with discernment. It's happening right now with impact. I'm going to start by introducing myself just a little bit. I'm a missionary kid, and evangelism is definitely on my heart, but also I've had a long career in technology, and so my goal is to really meld the two for the kingdom. So we are the Apologist project. We build conversational AI that meets them where they are, and I'm going to go over 7 different ways that how we can meet them where they are. But overall, we view ourselves as a force multiplier for the Great Commission, right? So we want to empower ministries through the use of AI. And in a minute here, I'm going to get a show of hands to see where everyone's at on their AI journey, because I'm kind of doing some field research here. All right, so I shouldn't have to really put this slide up, but I'm going to just briefly. We're at a digital ministry conference, so I shouldn't have to convince everybody in the room how important digital ministry is. But just in case there's anybody here who's just kind of dabbling their toes in there, we should kind of go over some of this stuff. So the big key thing for me is over 2/3 of the world's population's online, right? So if we're not engaging seekers online, then what are we doing, right? Then we're not really fulfilling the Great Commission. All right. Okay, so my thesis here is that we can use AI to identify and help seekers along and then pass them along to other ministries. And that's what I'm going to be talking about today, and I'll show kind of some more information about that. All right, so before I do that, if there's anybody here that's skeptical about using AI for specifically evangelism, I know that's kind of one of the last frontiers for using AI. Not everybody's on board with this. So we've written a white paper, and if you scan that QR code, you can go read that article and just get a little bit more foundational knowledge from a theological standpoint. Can we use AI, and how can we use that? So while that is up on the screen, I just want to get a show of hands as to where everyone's at. So if you're a ministry that hasn't even considered using AI in general, not even internally, can you raise your hand real quick for me? All right, good. Raise your hand if you're a ministry that has thought about using AI, but you haven't actually implemented any prototype or any kind of traction in that area. All right, so a few of those as well. Raise your hand if you have just a limited kind of internal use case where you're using AI to make your ministry more efficient, but it's all internal. All right, and now the big one. Are you using AI in any external-facing communications with either the people you serve, depending on what ministry you have? External communications with AI. Anyone? Okay, a few as well. Okay, very good. Okay, so again, my thesis here is going to be that we can meet seekers where they are in 7 different ways using AI for external communication. All right, and that communication be centered on the gospel, grounded in biblical truth, safely. All right, so we're going to meet them where they are. Number 1, anywhere. So obviously geography is a thing, right? So when we talk about meeting people where they are, we're talking about the ends of the earth, right? We're fulfilling the Great Commission here. And so putting something online obviously breaks that barrier. And in general, digital ministry helps with that, right? You can put something online. In theory, anyone can access it. And then also, right there at the end there, I mentioned offline. So it's not only online capabilities, but we're now experimenting with embedding small language models or smaller AIs onto devices like phones and other devices that can be smuggled into closed countries as well. Yeah, I got some enthusiasm there. Good. All right. Cool. I like it. And then here's a big one, right? So obviously, human-to-human communication is the gold standard here. We want to get people into communication with Bible-believing Christians who can engage with people. But the fact of the matter is they're not always available, right? So AI can engage anytime, right? 24/7. Somebody, a shut-in in Japan who isn't going to go out of their room or whatever, or just somebody who's curious in the middle of the night. I'm sure pastors don't appreciate being woken up in the middle of the night to get those theological questions, so we can use AI for that purpose anytime. And then this is a big one as well. So what we found is people are willing to open up to AI more so than other human beings in a lot of cases, right? There's not this fear of judgment. And as long as they think that they don't have, if they don't have to log in or like supply their information, they really can open up to AI in ways that they wouldn't to another human being where they have a fear of being tracked. And that's really important, especially in closed countries where they're concerned for their own safety and privacy. All right, so this is a big one. One thing that AI does really well is you can feed it information, right, to hone the response so that it will be contextualized for the user. And so, for example, we have a version of our chatbot that's specifically honed for Muslim ministry. And so we loop in Muslim apologetics and different texts that will help it ground in biblical truth, yes, but also contextualize that truth for the particular user. In the case of the Muslim serving chatbot, we actually use Quranic verses and then loop in biblical verses, compare and contrast, and bring people closer to Jesus, because the Muslim first sees the authoritative source of the Quran, and they then feel a sense of like, oh, this is what the Quran already says, this is how Christianity is the same or different, and then it gets them thinking a little bit. And then personalize as well. So one of the things that we think is extremely important in our case is to hand off the user to a human being or at least some other resources that they can further their study on. So for example, in the case of, say, a closed country, we can have AI answer questions, get some intellectual blockers out of the way, and then we can hand the user off to a ministry on the ground, an indigenous ministry preferably. And then that's the way we kind of partner with ministries to be able to hand off users to be in community with other Christians there on the ground. But in some countries or in some locations, there isn't a missionary in anywhere near that person who's using the chatbot. And so even then we can pass them on to some other digital communication like an online missionary or something like that. And then language support is huge for us as well. So we support up to 192 languages, and so we're really emphasizing that ability to speak to a person in their heart language. So with those 192 languages, we basically cover 99% of the globe, and we're working on more languages as we speak. And this is important as well. So we talked about digital spaces in general, right? So we already said that 2/3 of the world's population is online, but where online? It's not just you can put a web page up and people will see it. How do they actually see it, right? And so what we do is we integrate with messaging and social platforms as well, so that people can access those gospel conversations where they are. So like WhatsApp, Discord, platforms like that. We can Telegram as well. We can integrate with those platforms, and we're continually expanding our footprint there as well. All right, and then we also support, we also have an API. So I don't want to get too technical here, but basically, like if you're building an app, a phone app, a mobile app, like some of the partner ministries that we have, and just want to integrate conversational AI into it, then we can integrate that way as well. So however which way you want to integrate, based on our biblically grounded models, you can do that. Okay, so let's talk about that grounding here for a little bit. So fundamentally, AI is very good at bringing in context that you provide for it and then answering based on that context. And so a lot of people, what I usually tell people is if you use ChatGPT, one of the common use cases for ChatGPT is to provide it with, say, an article and say like, hey, I don't want to read the whole thing. Just give me a synthesis of what's going on here, right? So if you think about it, that's really what we're doing here is when somebody asks a question like, who is Jesus? The question is, where is the AI going to get that information to answer the question? And if we can provide a curated source of content to help answer that question and then just let the AI synthesize that information, then we can guarantee that it's biblically grounded. And so we've partnered with tons of different ministries that have a lot of content, one of them being Got Questions. And so that's what ensures that no matter what model we're using under the hood, that information that's coming to the chatbot that it's synthesizing is going to be grounded in biblical truth. And of course, we use various Bible translations as well, first and foremost. All right, so Shay couldn't make it here today. He's the president of Got Questions, but he is a major partner of ours. And so I wanted to give y'all a quote from Shay here. So this is what he says. He says, we have found that it consistently provides biblically based answers to spiritually related questions. We believe it to be the best Bible Q&A chatbot in existence. And Shay and Got Questions have been wonderful partners for us. And one thing I want to highlight about that integration is that idea of personalization and individualization. We're able to use AI to evaluate the conversation and expose certain calls to action based on the conversation. And so in his case, he said like, hey, suicidal ideation is a big deal. Like we can't just let the chatbot give a generic answer to those kinds of things. And so can we use AI to evaluate the conversation? And so we implemented basically based on a clinical 5-point scale of suicidal ideation, how do you rate the conversation in that respect? And we do things like we account for false positives. So for example, if someone says like, hey, I'm in a class and we're studying suicide, that's not suicidal ideation. That's just talking about suicide in an abstract concept. But based on that 5-point scale, we can then expose a contact or a hotline or anything like that to get the people the help they need. But in the same way as that, we can also expose a specific call to action based on where the person is spiritually as well. So you can use AI against something like the Crew Audience Map or the Engel Scale and identify where someone's at spiritually and then expose, based on that evaluation, expose either more resources or a certain person to contact based on that evaluation. All right, so we've had a fair amount of kind of technical plaudits, I guess you should say. And I'm only mentioning this just because this is a vetted solution. Got Questions is using it. Several ministries are using it. We're also, Ligonier is a big partner of ours as well. So we have, this is out in the wild. We have it in use for a lot of different ministries, a lot of different use cases. And actually, if Jana's in the room here as well, I can't see, I'm blinded by these lights, but if Jana's in the room, there she is. Yeah, we actually recently worked with Ex-Skeptic to implement a chatbot that kind of walks people through the stories of former skeptics who are now Christians. So just a couple examples there. And then in terms of traction as well, this solution that we put online, really through our ministry partners and also through just kind of some simple advertising and then people kind of seeing it online, has really been growing exponentially. So we're up to about 140,000 different prompts per month at this point and growing. And that just, again, we prefer to partner with ministries like Got Questions. And they even, by the way, if you go to gotquestions.chat, that's like a prototype. They haven't even released this to the wild. And yet there are, of the partners that we have, they're the most used third-party chatbot that we have. Even without any advertising, they've really grown in leaps and bounds in terms of traffic. All right, so what that amounts to is somebody's using our conversational AI every 20 seconds of every day. And again, we're just scaling. So that's, for us, that's a big deal. When you compare it to ChatGPT, obviously not a huge amount of scale, but we're growing every day, and we're trying to be an alternative for Christians, especially who are interested on the evangelical side of things, to use to both engage with seekers themselves, but also for people to equip themselves to engage with seekers. And in terms of international distribution, because we're available in that many languages, we can then target any number of countries around the world. We've especially found a lot of traction in Southeast Asia, Europe, and a little bit in Turkey. And a little bit here, I'll show a video of some of the testimonies from Turkey. All right, and here it is. So we're going to watch this 3-minute video, and then I'll conclude real quick. All right, thank you. So I hope that kind of brought things home. AI is here. It can be used for evangelism if used with discernment. It's happening right now with impact, and we would love to partner with any ministries interested in plugging it into to your digital ministry. We have a booth back there, the Apologist Project. Nathan over there in the back of the room, raise your hand. And then Christine, I don't know if you're there. There we go, Christine. Those are two members of my team as well. So you can talk if you catch any one of us. We'd love to talk to you a little bit more. One thing I just want to leave you with is the parable of the talents. We can treat AI as a technology that we don't want to explore because we're scared and bury it in the ground, or we can use it to further the kingdom. And we're choosing to use it to further the kingdom in any way we can with discernment. Thank you.